Hey guys, today we're going to be going over the major parts of the female reproductive tract. So there's 6 major parts to the female reproductive tract, and I'm going to go over those with you before we dive into the roles and functions that each of those parts play. So working from the outer and going in, we have the vulva, the vagina, the cervix, the uterus, the oviduct, and the ovary. Now, as I said, these are the 6 main parts. There are other parts, but we're going to focus on the main ones today. So we're going to start down here with the vulva. So the vulva's role or function is to help producers determine when a female is in heat. So when a female's in heat, her vulva is going to be red and swollen, and then she'll also have some mucus discharge coming out. Moving into the vagina, the role and function is not only to receive the penis, but is also the site of semen deposition, with the exception of sows and mares. So there are 2 different parts to the vagina. We're going to have the anterior and the posterior. So the posterior part of the vagina is composed of stratified squamous cells. The anterior part is composed of columnar cells. So the posterior part of the vagina is going to be a little bit tougher. So that's going to be where the penis is received. Now the anterior, the cells that it has, is going to allow for mucus to be discharged, not only for lubrication, but also to help the semen to further on within the tract. Next, we get to the cervix. So the cervix role is not only to prevent infection and contamination, but it also filters out dead sperm through these rings that you see. And in the event of pregnancy, this would be plugged off to prevent debris from coming in to the uterus. So next we get to the uterus. So the uterus not only helps maintain pregnancy by nourishing the fetus, but also this is where the fetus is housed throughout the extent of gestation. Now we're going to move on to the oviduct. Now the oviduct overall is where the site of fertilization occurs. Now if we want to get a little bit technical, we can break it down into 3 parts. So over here, the first part would be the ampullary. Second part would be the isthmus. And then the part in between would be the ampullary isthmus junction. I'm just going to label it as AIJ. Again, that's going to be the ampullary isthmus junction. So the ampullary isthmus junction is the technical site of fertilization. All right, moving down to the ovary. The ovary's role is not only to produce eggs, but also to produce female hormones such as estrogen and progesterone. And here in just a second, we'll see just how critical these 2 hormones are, not only to egg production, but also to pregnancy maintenance. All right, so now you know the main functions and roles of the 6 major parts of the female reproductive tract. So I want to go back and touch on a few other things. So when we were talking about the uterus, we have different types of uterus. We have a simple, duplex, bicornuate, and a bipartite. So this particular drawing that we're looking at would represent a bicornuate. This structure right here is what we would call the horns. Some species have horns, whether it be shorter ones or longer ones, and some have no horns at all. That is depicted on the type of uterus that they have. Next, you may be asking, well, what's this funnel shape structure that we have right here? Well, this is the infundibulum. So the infundibulum aids in capturing the egg. And we also have these little finger-like structures that would be connected to the bottom of the infundibulum called fimbria. So these fimbria sweep the egg up into the infundibulum so that fertilization can occur. In some species, the infundibulum will hover over the ovary like we have here, or in other cases, it will be directly connected to it. So again, as we said, today we were focusing on the 6 major parts of the female reproductive tract. We said those 6 parts were the vulva, the vagina, the cervix, the uterus, the oviduct, and the ovary. Again, we said the vulva aids in heat detection. Vagina is where semen deposition occurs. The cervix helps prevent contamination and infection, and it also filters out dead sperm through these rings. The uterus nourishes the fetus and is also where the fetus will stay throughout the span of gestation. The oviduct is where fertilization occurs. And lastly, the ovary produces eggs and female sex hormones, including estrogen and progesterone. So it's as simple as that. So when you get in a bind, just remember your major parts and you'll make it through.